how do you buy a house? It's Andrew Parker, your real estate agent from the #1 Coldwell banker office in the entire country. If you or anybody you know is looking to buy or sell around Orange County, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be happy to help. All right, let's get into today's video. If you're buying a home for the first time, things can feel a bit overwhelming. There's a lot of emotion, a ton of money, a bunch of deadlines, and ultimately a lot of unknowns that can kind of leave you stuck, dazed, and confused. I wanted to break down the home buying process into 8 big steps so that when you go through it yourself, you have an idea of what to expect down the line. Before real estate, I was in event planning, and it was always helpful for me to have a step-by-step process to follow along as I planned my events. I wanted to bring that same concept over to real estate, so hopefully this is just as helpful for you as well. All right, so what are the 8 steps to buying a home? They are as follows. Number 1, starting off by talking to a real estate agent. Number 2, getting pre-approved for your loan. Number 3, finding the actual home that you're looking for. Number 4, submitting your offer. Number 5, that offer gets accepted and we enter into escrow. Number 6, going through escrow. 7, escrow closes and ownership is transferred. And finally, number 8, which is a secret step, so you're gonna have to finish the rest of this video to find out what it is. All right, let's dive in. Starting off with number 1, contacting a real estate agent. Look, we get it, you're busy. You probably have a bunch of things going on like a job, a family, a relationship, social life, a ton of other things going on in your life that you need to focus on. So it's important to get an industry expert to help you through this process. A real estate agent is going to be your advocate during negotiations. They're also going to be there to help make sure everything is organized and finish all the paperwork that you need to do. And finally, they're going to be there as a market database, basically giving you all the information as local as possible to make sure that you know that you're making a good financial decision for you and your family. All right, so they're going to start off by going through your home goals. What type of home are you going to be looking for? Good way to find out all this information is basically by answering the who, what, when, where, why, and how of real estate. So first off, who is going to be moving with you? Is it just you? Do you have a family that's moving with you? Is your family expanding? Are you purchasing an investment property that you don't anticipate moving into? What type of home are you going to be looking for? Is it a single family residence, a condo, a townhome, a multifamily? When will you need to move? Do you have a current lease that is going to be expiring soon? And so you kind of have a deadline that's coming up quickly, or is this something that you're planning maybe a few months out? The timeline is super important to let your real estate agent know. Where will you be moving? Is there a particular location that you've already thought about, a neighborhood that you like, a school system that you're going after, etc.? Where are you going to be moving from? Do you currently have a property right now that you need to sell in order to move, or are you coming from a lease where you've never purchased a home? Either one, you need to make sure that your real estate is aware of it so that they can better help your needs. Also, why are you going to be moving? Is it a job change? Are you moving from a different city? Do you have a family dynamic happening where you are downsizing because your kids left for college, or you've got a new baby coming and so you need to have a bigger home? Either one, it's really important to find out the motivation for why you are going to be moving so that the real estate agent can better understand the emotional stresses that you might be going through and better help your situation. And then how will you be purchasing this property? Are you needing to sell off a property that you currently have in order to afford another one? Are you expecting a job raise or a bonus to come through soon? Anything like this is important for the real estate agent to know because it all affects the timeline. All right, step number 2, getting pre-approved for your loan. If you're going to be paying with cash, obviously the step does not matter to you because you're going to be purchasing the property outright. But if you're going to be using a mortgage, this is important. In other markets, you didn't need to be pre-approved. Today in 2021, you need to be pre-approved in order to make an offer and to be taken seriously because of how quickly and how competitive these offers are coming in. My take is that you should always get pre-approved regardless of the market conditions. It doesn't take a long time to do it. It's also very helpful for you because now you know how much you are approved to afford when purchasing a property. Okay, so what does pre-approval mean? This means that you spoke with a lender, you applied for the loan, and you were given some type of documentation that's showing that you have been approved. Usually this will come in the form of a pre-approval letter. In order to get pre-approved, they're going to have to do a little bit of vetting on your financial situation. So some of the things that they might require are going to be your income, 2 years of tax returns, a credit report, your job history, and then proof of any assets that you might have. Ultimately, speaking with a lender can be very helpful because now you know your budget and what your down payment will be. We can then take those numbers and actually look for homes. All right, now that we know what type of home you're looking for, as well as how much you were pre-approved to spend on a home, we can start doing the fun stuff, which is looking for a home to live in. We are gonna go tour some homes, but this all starts off by getting listing alerts set up so that you know what new homes are coming to the market or what homes are already on the market that meet the needs that you have to have. All right, now these listing alerts are gonna come through on your email, and it's really important to designate a home either tour or trash. Tour are going to be homes that you really think, have a possibility that you might want to live in it, so you want to go see it firsthand. Trash is something that you saw right away and you're like, absolutely not, cannot live there, period. Throw that thing away if it's that obvious to you, because we don't want to waste your time. Now, when scheduling tours, you want to make sure that you are not scheduling too many in a day to the point where you're fatigued, exhausted, hungry, your feet hurt, whatever it might be, to the point where you're not giving each house a fair shot. Now, the way that I work with tours is that if you walk into a home and immediately know in that split second you will not live there, whether it's the neighborhood or the home itself, whatever it might be, if you know right away you don't like it, let's leave. We don't want to waste your time looking at a home that you already know you won't live in. We only want to be looking at homes that you truly can see you and your family living in. But it's really important after each tour or even during listing alerts that you do somewhat of a debrief with your real estate agent so that he or she can know exactly what you're liking or disliking about these homes, put that into the listing alerts, and then refine the search so that you're only being fed homes that you could actually like to live in. Additionally, when you're doing these tours, if you find a home that you really like, it's worth looking at the ceilings, the walls, the floors, and finding out if there's any work that needs to be done. This could also be in the appliances of the kitchen that might be coming with the home. Anything like that, it's going to cost money. And it's important to find out some of this information prior to submitting an offer, because then you can make an offer that accounts for those expenses in the future. All right, now that you found a home, it takes us to number 4, submitting the offer to purchase. When you are submitting this offer, it is important to sit down with your real estate agent and let them tell you about the local market around that home. This is going to help you determine what a fair market value of that home would be, and given their list price, what would you be willing to spend on that home? If you have a seller who is asking significantly over fair market value, you're going to realize that you're entering a pretty tough negotiation, because that person might be stubborn, might not really be willing to give too much leeway to the buyers, and could just have their home on the market to see if they could sell for such a high price. It does not mean that you need to meet them. Now, in order to sweeten the pot, it is not all monetary. You don't just have to offer more money in order to make a seller happy. You can also shorten the escrow time so that they can sell the property quicker and you can move in faster. You can play around with some of the contingencies as well. So your inspection contingency, you can shorten that, your loan, appraisal, whatever it might be. There are more ways to sweeten the pot than just money. Now, in a market like this, you are likely going to run into a counter offer. This means that the seller wasn't totally impressed by your first offer, but liked you enough to give you a second chance. So they're going to send over what they would want you to submit for a second offer. You do not have to accept this. You can continue to stick with your original offer. Just know that you might be running the risk of losing the property. But not in our case. We made it to number 5 because our offer was accepted and we are opening escrow. Congrats, they like you also, and you will be the buyer of this house given the escrow goes smoothly. When escrow first opens, you're going to be reached out to by an escrow officer. This individual is going to tell you about the deadlines and things that need to be met by both parties in order for this transaction to go through smoothly. Additionally, you're going to have to submit your initial deposit to escrow within 3 business days after acceptance. Now, this is not your down payment, it is just your initial deposit. And that brings us to number 6, which is going through escrow and inspections. But before we talk about that, let's find out what escrow actually is. Escrow is a third party that makes sure that all obligations from the seller and buyer are met contractually in order to make sure that the property can be transferred to the new buyer. During escrow is where you're going to be conducting your inspection. This will usually start off by a general inspection, and then if there are any concerns about things that need to be repaired, you can bring in other specialists to find out what those costs might be so that you can ask for a credit at close. Additionally, you're going to get your loan fulfilled and an appraisal most likely by the lender. My best advice when going through escrow is make sure you do not fall in love until you've got the keys in your hand and you own the property. A friend of mine once said, it's all about not falling in love until you've got a ring on the finger. And in this case, I completely agree. A home is a very expensive purchase and you want to make sure that it is in the condition you expected. During escrow is the moment where you can find out that there could be underlying conditions like leaks, water main breaks, you could have mold, you can have issues structurally, and you want to take these seriously. Getting your offer accepted is really, really exciting, but you can't get so jaded by it to the point where you don't consider any of the issues with the house. It's really important that all of the money that you're spending is going to a home that you are excited to buy, and 5 months after purchasing it, you won't be dealing with all the issues you could have caught in escrow. All right, and that brings us to number 7, which is the money is transferred and you enter the close of escrow. If ever you see COE, that means close of escrow. First off, get ready for paperwork because purchasing a home comes with a lot of it. At close of escrow, you're going to be sending over the down payment and then also paying for the closing costs of the transaction, and your lender is going to wire over the funds of your loan to make sure that the sale can be paid for and completed. Once this happens, ownership is transferred, you get the keys, and now you own a freaking house. This is the moment to celebrate because you are officially the owner of a brand new house. Super exciting. This is where you pop champagne, you let the kids drink a little bit because who cares, everybody's happy now. And depending on the terms of your close, you might be able to move in right away. Now this brings us to step number 8, the final step of the whole process, the secret step, the thing that brings everything together. Refer your agent to friends, family, and coworkers if they earned it. Ideally, they did a good job, made everything easier for you, helped you along the way, and you're happy with everything that happened. So send your friends and family and coworkers over to them. It's very helpful for all agents. Now, buying a home can be a really stressful process if you aren't organized and don't have the right attitude. It's important to remain level-headed through all the ups and downs so that ultimately you can get your final goal of purchasing the house of your dreams. While it's really exciting when your offer originally gets accepted, remember that it's important to take escrow seriously. You don't want to be spending a bunch of money on a home that ends up not being everything you wished for, and escrow is the moment to make sure that none of those damages or issues with the home come back to bite you a year or 2 years down the road. Now, I know this was a bit of a long video and really in-depth, but hopefully it was helpful for you, and hopefully it simplifies things a bit so that when you are purchasing a house, there aren't so many unknowns along the way, and you can refer back to this video to keep yourself organized. If you did find this video helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. It helps me out a ton, and I would really appreciate it if you would share with your friends. Be sure to follow Andrew Parker Realty on all social media for more property tours, market updates, and real estate tips. Also, if you have any questions or comments of your own, be sure to leave them in the comment section below or shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to respond or make videos answering the questions that you guys have, especially if they're about this video. If you have any questions about one of the particular steps along the way, I know it's a lot and it can seem, a bit daunting. So if you do have questions that you want me to dive deeper into, let me know. I'd be happy to respond and help out. All right, I'll see you in the next one.